Hi everybody, Peter Schiff. It's Monday, August 24th, 2009. Well, the global markets were very strong overnight, particularly the Asian markets, Japan, Chinese shares, very, very strong. Europe was strong. The U.S. started out strong, gave back most of those gains. I think closed about flat. But again, everybody is talking about the resurgence in the global stock market as if it's indicative that the worst is over for the United States, that we've dodged bullets here and growth is coming, the recovery is coming, the stimulus has worked. Of course, none of that is true. But I think what we do have evidence of is decoupling. If you look at the big economies like China and India, these economies never even went into recession. They slowed down a bit, but now they're expanding again even more strongly. They avoided recession. Some of the larger, more advanced economies in Europe and other parts of the world dipped into recession, but now they're already out of recession. It's the United States that's still in recession. And initially, based on 2008, everybody thought, oh no, when the U.S. catches a cold, the world gets pneumonia. Well, that didn't happen. Everybody was afraid that was going to happen in 2008. That's why the dollar rose. That's why foreign stocks sold off more than U.S. stocks. Everybody was waiting for the world to catch pneumonia. They didn't. They caught a cold just like us, but they didn't even get it as bad as we did. And so what's happening now is global markets are recovering, global economies are recovering, and I think what we're having is decoupling, because I don't think the U.S. economy is recovering. And I think what's happening is the U.S. caboose is being decoupled from the global gravy train. I think it's still connected somewhat, so I think our stock market is going along for the ride, although not nearly as rapid as foreign markets. But I think the bump that people think they see in the economic data is simply the short-term effects of the stimulus. And of course, when the government steps in and stimulates the economy, or again, what they don't really stimulate is the economy, they stimulate spending with debt, you get a little boost, just like the boost we got when they stimulated the economy in 2001 and 2002. So we had a mild recession, and the payback was the real estate bubble and all the problems when it burst. We're making the same mistakes again, but we're going to have some temporary reduction in pain because of the artificial stimulus, but we're going to suffer much worse when the stimulus wears off, and I think it's going to wear off soon, especially when the decoupling thesis is better appreciated by the world. And when you see a lot of people who rushed into treasuries and rushed into dollars because they thought that decoupling had been discredited, right? Well, obviously, those conclusions were rash. It was based on a short-term market reaction, and in many cases, the market was simply reacting based on the idea that there would be no decoupling. Well, now that people can see it happening, they will rush to reverse those trades. And I do think if we have another big decline, which we very well might have in the U.S., it's not going to be a decline where the dollar strengthens and commodities fall like we had in late 2008. It's going to be a decline where the dollar falls and commodities strengthen. And that's going to be a very different dynamic for the global economy. I also want to point out that the Obama administration is going to be releasing tomorrow its 10 years projection for the budget deficit. And they're increasing their projection from $7 trillion over the next 10 years to $9 trillion. Now, first of all, the government doesn't have any clue what next year's deficit is going to be. I mean, why are they bothering to make a 10-year projection when they really have absolutely no idea what's going to happen year to year? So the whole thing is a joke anyway. But now look at the projection. $9 trillion. That's almost $1 trillion a year. How can the Office of Management and Budget put out such a budget? I mean, that'd be like the CEO of a company having a shareholder meeting and telling the shareholders, here's our plan for the next 10 years. We're going to lose a fortune every year for the next 10 years. Or maybe a kid comes home from school and he tells his parents, here's my study plan. I'm going to flunk every class for the next 10 years. I mean, this whole thing is ridiculous. You're the Office of Management and Budget. That's your budget? $9 trillion in deficit? The responsible thing, when you're in the OMB and you see $9 trillion of budget deficits for the next 10 years, you don't just accept that. You don't say, okay, this is what we're going to do. You got to make some changes. The government's got to say, we can't do this. We can't borrow $9 trillion. What can we cut? What programs can we get rid of? You don't just put that budget out and say, this is what we're going to do. You know, again, that's like you're driving towards a wall, towards a brick wall, and your plan is, well, I'm just going to keep on going. I'm not going to turn. I'm going to smash head first right into that wall. I mean, this is insanity. And, of course, it's even crazier because they're probably wrong. They're probably lowballing the thing. What if it's 15 trillion? What if it's 20 trillion? This whole thing is ridiculous. Somebody's got to go to Washington and put a stop to this. Anyway, that's it for today. Try to keep these things to 5 minutes. Hopefully everybody had a good day. I'll be back again soon.